Lemaire is a dancer, also an artist, also full of passion, also be able to hit 6 element. Kind of sucks hitting all 6 element though, but she is able to hit all 6 elements, so I guess that's something I guess. There's one thing you learn from 9S during the Near Automata collab is that just because you're able to do everything, that does not necessarily mean you're good. And the same applies for Lemaire head. Lemaire can do a lot of stuff, but she doesn't excel at any of them. She has a 3 hit of every single element, but the potency is kind of low and some of them even cost a lot of SP. So by one, fire is probably the best one. It's front row, attack up, and magic up. You can just like run a buffer instead of doing this, but I guess if you want to do some shield attacking and also buffing during the same time, you can use the skill. Ice is defense buffing, which is if you are not able to boost your defense buffing turn duration, why are you applying the defense buff in the first place? Lightning is speed and critical buff, which is for critical buff. If the critical buff is not a guaranteed crit, then the critical buff is useless. And for the speed buff, you do not need the speed buff anytime soon. Yeah, most of the time you probably do not need the speed buff. Wind is revealing one weakness on the enemy, which is nice for casual playing, but in terms of serious fighting, it's just doing nothing. Light is healing, which is probably the second best color that she has, because you can time it so that if your team doesn't have enough regen, you can time it so that your opponent, after your opponent attack, you follow up with Lemaire with healing so that your team won't die anytime soon. So light is good. And dark is attack down, which is decent because you can cap it out with some other debuff on your team to cap out the attack down. And last is a skill which combines all of them together into a rainbow, which is it's never gonna be good unless the enemy is weak to 4 different weakness elemental. But even then, it's just better to just focus down on one element so your team can buff and debuff that element. If anything though, the visual is nice I guess. You are hitting all 6 color though, but then again you can also do that with the ultimate, so therefore the skill is never useful. The first passive is good because it's helping the fire color. So when you're at max level, the fire buff gives 3 tons of attack and magic buff. Combined with this passive, you are getting 4 tons of magic and attack buff, and also 3 hit of fire, so it's good. The second passive is like, why do you just not give her like 30% elemental up? It's not even that overpowered like in this current state of the game. The passive of helping out like your allies in the background is nice, but that's something you can also already do with Wingate. So I guess if anything, just think of it as Lemaire owns self 20% damage buff. And the ultimate, which is a 6 hit and also a lot of buff, combining that with the passive is 3 tons of ultimate buff. And you combine that with some of the other characters like Nefty or Primrose, it's very easy to sustain your attack up or magic up for the rest of the battle. And that's it for Lemaire. She isn't bad, but she's also like kind of mediocre too, so it's not really worth it to pull for her.